Hello, we are Kathrein booth at Mobile World Congress 2018, and they are having here a new booth exhibiting their vision for 2022. Hello, sir. You have a booth here at Mobile World Congress, a new one, a new concept. It's open, it's totally different. What do you bring new here?
Well, our key topic is our Network Vision 2022. What does that mean? We have been looking into the network of the future in terms of how will it look like, what are the requirements of the network of the future, which technologies will be deployed in the future. Here you can actually see next to me an interactive exhibit which then gives you all the details and allows you to go into depth regarding specific topics. I can give you a quick demonstration of what is being shown and covered. So basically, as a start page, you can see the current coverage, internet coverage worldwide. Wherever you see white, it means there are white spots. We don't have enough coverage. Red is good coverage. So if you look into the future, into 5G, into autonomous driving, of course, we need to have good coverage everywhere. Yeah. So basically, in the future, the white spots, they need to disappear. That's one of the very first remarks, so to speak, and observations of the Vision 2022. If we look at some of the details, the interesting thing with our vision, which we developed together with internal and external partners, is that we are looking at all the key geographies that we have worldwide. So until now, most of the companies have only been focusing on urban areas, so cities, you know. Now, what we have done is actually looking at all the different geographies. So not just looking at the urban area, but also what's going to happen in suburban areas, in rural areas, and also in very remote areas, you know, like deserts, for example. Yeah. For each of the areas, we are actually showing what type of use cases we will have in that geography, in that area. And then also, of course, what are then the key trends in that geography. Yeah? So let's just go into the urban area and see what the future will bring. So here you can see the main use cases that we will find in urban areas. Of course, we will see connected driving in urban areas. We will, of course, also see the industry becoming smart in terms of production, for example, or also the supply chain becoming smart, so with a lot of sensors, use of IoT, for example. If we look at, let's look into connected driving. So what we show here is actually how exactly the connectivity will work in the future, which types of technologies will have to be combined to make autonomous driving a reality in the future. It is interesting to note that with any of these use cases and scenarios, it will be necessary to combine different technologies to make it happen. Yeah? So in the future we will see a lot of convergence also, so technologies that have been separate until now being combined and coming together. Yeah? So for example, there is an interesting case where the broadcast technology will be used, for example, for software updates on devices. Why? Broadcast is a very cheap technology when it comes to outreach with massive data. And then, of course, you can actually use it very perfectly, not only for video streaming, but also for big software updates. Yeah? So that's an example of such a convergence. Yeah? If we look into another area, smart grid area, so the electricity supply of the future will become very, very smart, which means the first is, of course, tracking the need and then steering the supply accordingly. Yeah? So now at this point in time, we have a central electricity production, a decentral distribution. In the future, it will be really need-based. Yeah? So wherever the electricity is needed, the capacity will be steered to that place. Yeah? With the help, of course, of new technologies, of IoT technologies. Yeah? And that's what we call then the smart grid. Yeah? So that's the next generation electricity. Yeah? Let's have a final look at our network predictions. So let's take them quickly one by one. Our first prediction is that the road to 5G will be an evolution, a migration process. So all the existing technologies like 2G, 3G, 4G, LTE advanced, they won't stop from one day to the other or overnight. They will continue to exist, but of course the new technologies will be added. And then of course the role distribution will be different, with a very powerful 5G technology, for example, being used for autonomous driving. Wherever you need high bandwidth, low latency, the latest generation technology will be used, but you will still continue to use, of course, the old technologies for other use cases, for other deployment scenarios. Old and new technologies will come together in hybrid networks. We already discussed it. We had the case of broadcast, where I said, broadcast will be used for software, for example, upload downstreams. These kind of examples we will see a lot in the future. Yeah? So the networks will become mixed, they will become hybrid. Yeah? Another thing is that we're moving in the future from very centralized concepts to regional concepts. Yeah? So decentral concepts. Yeah? Until now, everything is managed centrally. Now, if you look at the future, the whole, for example, intelligence and steering of the capacity will move to the edge of the network. Yeah? So where the users actually are. Yeah? So we have a big trend of regionalization. Next topic is small cells. What does small cell mean? Well, we have our traditional large antennas on rooftops, which are the macro cell antennas, and then we have the small antennas for the distribution, for example, in streets or on campuses. Yeah? The smaller antennas will become very, very important going forward, because the data volume is going to become 10 times more than today. So you have much more data to be transmitted. How do you transmit it? You need to make your network denser. Yeah, so you need more antennas. Yeah, so that's going to be one of the major trends. This is one of our predictions, of course, that small cell deployment will accelerate, will increase dramatically in the future. 3D coverage will connect airspace and ground. This is also an interesting trend, because until now, actually, we are only talking about connectivity on the ground. So macro cell, small cell, it's all ground connectivity, right? Now connectivity is moving up into the third dimension, you could say. Yeah? Why? We will have drones. Above the drones we have the airplanes, we have helicopters, so to speak. Yeah? So all of that will be connected in the future, yeah? Seamlessly connected. Yeah? So this is what we call 3D connectivity going forward. Yeah? Last not least, cloud computing. That's the sixth one, will move to the edge. The whole intelligence of data analysis right now is in data centers. Those data centers are central. Now in the future, in order to be fast in terms of the data analysis, yeah, if you think of autonomous driving, you can't afford to have a long latency. So you must be quick. So the whole intelligence of data analysis is moving to the edge of the network. Yeah? And that's what we call the edge computing, so to speak. That's our last prediction for the future.